Anna Smith,
Here.
Sade Fashokun,
Here.
Nikosi Nelson, Trish Bodie,
Here.
Paul Gautier, Gloria Gonzalez Salakia,
Here. It is 6:16 p.m. and with the quorum of the board present, I call this meeting of the Leander ISD Board of Trustees to order. It is my pleasure to welcome Aria Cruz, a student at North Elementary, to lead us in the pledge tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
If you'll join me in a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Aria. Up next, we're excited to shine a spotlight on learning on our navigators from North Elementary School. If y'all can just come up.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam President, Dr. Gearing, and School Board for having us this evening. My name is Mrs. Maginal, and I'm the proud principal of North Elementary. And this group of students here is part of our NASA team, which is our 5th grade leadership team, and it stands for the North Alliance of Students and Administrators. The purpose of this group of leaders is, one, to tell us, Ms. Freeman and I, how we're doing as a school. Are we meeting their needs? And 2, to have a positive impact on our community. They are super excited to share with you this evening.
Hi, I'm Ms. Freeman. I'm the proud assistant principal at North Elementary. At our first NASA meeting this year, we asked our 5th grade students to share with us the ways that they feel empowered as learners at North Elementary. And it was so exciting for us to hear all of the ways they feel empowered as learners each and every day. We wish that we had all the evening to share with you the many different ways that they shared with us throughout our experience with them. But tonight, we're just going to highlight a few of those with you.
Hi, my name is Judah Baskin, and I'm a 5th grader at North Elementary. One of the ways that I feel empowered is of hands-on learning. One of my favorite activities was at the beginning of the year. We had to work in teams to make the tallest tower with marshmallows, spaghetti, and tape. I felt empowered because we were challenged to create and build a design. Each team came up with their own design and worked collaboratively to build it. Never one of my favorite lessons was in science. Each table group was testing which liquid out of Sprite, vinegar, and water would dissolve candy corn the fastest. We made a hypothesis. I was surprised when it was water instead of vinegar. I learned that water dissolves sugar, and that is what candy corn is. Our teacher teaches many different strategies, but we get to choose which strategy to use when solving problems. For example, in multiplication, I prefer the area model instead of standard algorithm, and I get to pick which one to use. Our teachers make us feel empowered to our own learning.
Hi, my name is Satvik Chamala, and I'm a 5th grader at North Elementary. One of the ways I feel empowered is during Quest because the teacher doesn't tell exactly what to do. She presents an objective and lets us choose our own ways to meet that objective. This was great because we started the year by learning about ourselves and how we learn best. This was great because we started with this unit every single year. This lets us see what are the learning path we took. Although we start with this unit each year, our Quest teacher, Miss Belland, makes it different, so it's not the same thing every single time. This year, we found a job that fits our learning style. I researched that job and made a future career presentation to our families and classmates. I discovered I'm an analytical thinker and a problem solver, so I researched nuclear engineering and learned about job opportunities.
Hi, my name is Brayden Bain, and I'm a 5th grader at North Elementary. I feel empowered when I get to choose participate in as many clubs as I want to. As a part of the Northeast Library Assistance, we get to choose what the themes of our book fairs and when author visits happen. Being a part of these clubs helps build confidence. As a member of the NASA team, we get to pick what will make our school a better place instead of just our administrators making these choices for us. You get to give an input on how things could be better and give feedback on how we are affected by things in school. I also am a member of the Run Club and get to exercise and have more time to hang out with my friends after school.
Hi, my name is Aria Cruz, and I am a fifth grader at North Elementary. I feel so empowered at North because there are so many after school clubs. In chess club, you get to learn how to play chess, build skills, and learn different strategies. In chess club, there are 4 different groups based on levels of chess, so kids can learn, play for fun, or play competitively. Last year, many students participated in a chess tournament that took place across many days. Chess is a club that is open to kindergarten through 5th grade students. Another club that I like is the North Pep Squad. Pep Squad is open to 4th and 5th grade. We welcome students each Friday for our blast-off assembly. We make spirit posters to make everybody happy and hype them up. We perform at blast-off assemblies, the Glen High School homecoming parade, and other events. Getting to choose the clubs that interest me and learning new skills make me feel empowered.
Hi, my name is Mika Mariraj. I am a 5th grader at North Elementary. Another way that we feel empowered at North is called Empower Hour. Empower Hour is a part of specials. This year we have intensive weeks where every student through kindergarten through 5th grade chooses the area of focus for specific weeks. Examples include crocheting, ninja stations, coding, 20% project, origami, stop-motion, animation, and more. The choices vary by area and grade level. One of the options I liked was sculptures. I felt empowered because there was free choice to do the sculpture how we wanted, and we had different themes to choose from. I chose instruments as my area of focus. I was able to sculpt a drum, flute, and trumpet. I used these ideas from performing arts for my sculptures.
Hi, my name is Adina Yilgun, and I'm a 5th grader at North Elementary. For Empower Hour, I chose crocheting in Miss Bradley's class. I used to fail at crocheting and really wanted to learn it. Once they taught me, I feel like I could do other things that inspired me. But I restarted many times because it wasn't even. But I learned some tricks that would help me. Other skills that we learn in Empower Hour is to improve your success for universities, jobs, and other things you will do in your future. We feel empowered by getting selected on our focus area for Empower Hour based on our interest. We are all empowered at North because this is an opportunity during the school day to explore and dive deeper into our interests. Thank you.
Great job, students. I wish you could have been with us during the planning. They kept talking for quite a while. They had 2 full poster boards of ideas, and we had to help them narrow it down. But as campus leaders, our goal is to prioritize empowering our staff. When we say yes, more than we say no, all of this comes to life every single day. One of the things we want to end with is how we start each of our mornings with our student pledge. Are you guys ready? Okay, here we go. Don't make me say it by myself, okay? Here we go. I am a North navigator. I am empowered to achieve, advocate, and impact. Thank you for letting us speak tonight and share with you about our school.
Thank y'all so much for being here. And if y'all can just hold on for 1 second for a picture. And parents, if you want to come up here and get pictures, please come up here. Thank you so much, North Navigators. We really appreciate y'all making the drive up here, down here. And before we move on to our next agenda item, we'd like to get a picture. Wait, I just read that. I am so sorry, y'all. Next, we're going to move and watch a video highlighting some outstanding student and staff achievements.
It's a new school year, and we're already proving that Leander ISD is the best school district around. I'm Rocket Robledo, an 8th grader at Cedar Park Middle School.
And I'm Eduardo Limanamaya, also an 8th grader at Cedar Park Middle School. From athletic triumphs to excelling in the classroom, we really can do it all. Vandergrift High School is living up to their motto because they really are second to none.
For the first time in school history, the Vipers were named winners of the 2025 6A Lone Star Cup. From their state wins in robotics, football, and soccer to top 3 finishes in several categories like band, cross country, volleyball, and a multitude of medals from their CTE courses. The Vipers dominated last year on the field and in the classroom. This isn't new to them though. Vandergrift was named the 5A Lone Star Cup winner back in 2015 and 16. Congratulations on a historic year. While we're on the topic of being the best like no one ever was, we have to brag about someone right here in our Cedar Park feeder pattern.
Callista Davis is a junior at Cedar Park High School and scored a rare perfect score on her ACT. Only 1% of students who take the test earn a perfect score. Davis told us that what helped her the most was practice, practice, and more practice. She took advantage of free online study guides, and it looks like all that hard work paid off. Congratulations, Callista. Callista wasn't the only high schooler to win big. A student at Rouse High School is coming home with some bragging rights.
Naina Shivalingala was named one of the 150 winners for the 16th annual I Write Publishing Contest. Her poem titled Heroes Hidden in Plain Sight has earned her international recognition. She told us that she wanted to highlight how we often take everyday heroes for granted, the ones who aren't in movies or comic books but only exist in our real lives. That sounds amazing, and I hope we get a chance to read it one day. Congratulations on your incredible work. From one winner to another, we have a pair of theater educators coming home with some pretty impressive awards.
That's right. Rouse High School's theater director, Cheryl Painter, was just awarded the K-12 Educator of the Year by the Texas Educational Theater Association. Additionally, Henry Middle School's theater teacher, Lori Boyd, was also given the Middle School Campus of Distinction for theater. They both have shown time and again through their contributions and innovations in their productions and education style. Congratulations on these amazing accomplishments. The Visual Arts Department has always provided a great experience for students across Leander ISD. Now, the district is being recognized for it.
The Texas Art Education Association has named LISD as a District of Distinction. This honor shows how dedicated our educators are to encouraging us students to be creative, expressive, and forming connections through our art. This award proves just how vital our visual arts department is to our everyday school life. Wow, we have so many amazing students and teachers across Leander ISD.
I agree. They inspire me to want to accomplish more. We hope that they had the same effect on you.
Until next time, we hope to see you again soon.
We really have some amazing things going on in our district. Next is the citizen comments portion of our agenda. Right now we have one speaker for tonight, and before I invite that speaker to the microphone, we will watch a short introductory video.
Hello, my name is Rocco Robledo. I'm an 8th grader at Cedar Park Middle School. The district and the Board of Trustees are the local government body responsible for serving the educational needs of all school children, like me and my friends here in Leander Independent School District. Their mission is to cultivate each individual student while creating a safe and supportive environment. The board is taking up the citizen comment agenda item. This is dedicated time during this meeting to hear from the whole community, and the entire LISD family is listening. The district believes the Leander family thrives when we ensure a welcoming, safe, and caring environment. To our speakers, before you speak, we hope you've read guidelines specified in Board Operating Procedures and BED Local. The board wants to hear from everyone. Please be mindful of your conduct and the example you are choosing to set when presenting complex information. Remember that school children of all ages may participate in board meetings either by watching them online, or you might even see some of us in the audience. Still remember that there are other ways you can communicate with the board. You can send them an email or just tell them that you would like to chat sometime. When the board president calls your number, remember, watch the timer and focus your remarks to the time allotted. We know it can be hard, but please conclude your comments when you hear the chime.
Speaker number 1.
Hello again to everybody. I just want to first off by saying that my family and I moved 10 minutes so our children could attend Steiner Ranch Elementary because of its class sizes, its accreditation, academics, and family-oriented atmosphere, and we don't want to leave. With that said, at the last board meeting, 7 times it was said, why do we keep losing our kids to charter schools? The people want to be seen and heard, and currently we're not feeling any of it. When classrooms grow too crowded for teachers to know every child's name, we notice. When advanced learners sit idle while struggling, one slip through the cracks, we notice. When parents' voices are treated as interruptions instead of insights, we notice. And when teachers spend more time entering data than inspiring curiosity, we all pay the cost. We believe in our public school. We know how much heart and effort our teachers give, but belief alone isn't enough for when parents are looking for connection, flexibility, and belonging, and finding it somewhere else. So instead of asking, why are they leaving, maybe it's time we ask, what would make them stay? Families aren't asking for perfection. We are asking for a partnership. We're asking to be a part of the process that decides what our children's education looks like. Every child who leaves our district doesn't represent a number lost. They represent a voice unheard. And if we start listening, truly listening, maybe the 8th time we ask that question, we won't have to, because the answers will already be shaping the future we build together.
Thank you. And that concludes our citizen comments for tonight. Now we'll move to our consent agenda. Board members, do you have any motions related to consent agenda items?
Board members, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
A second.
A motion from Gloria, a second from Sade. All in favor? 5 in favor, motion passes. Next, we'll move to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. We have some more good news to share with you. Congratulations to our Vandergrift High School boys cross country team. You just saw them from last year on Lone Star Cup, but this is now this year. So again, repeating as state silver medalists. We're also proud of Leander High School and Glen High School athletes who competed this year as well, did an outstanding job. As you know, we had our state marching band contest this week, and we had a very surprising and unfortunate incident with our Vandergrift High School band trailer, but this is what it means to be in Leander ISD, and so this went out. The volunteers stepped up from Leander High School and brought the Leander High School trailer down at very short notice to help them unload those instruments and get them moved over. And so we just want to thank Leander High School and that volunteer group. And we'll see in a little bit a lot of other people also who stepped up to show that the band community looks out for each other even when they're competing against each other. And so at that contest, we're very proud of Vista Ridge High School for their 6th place finish. in the state marching band finals. And this is their 4 drum majors. And to Vandergrift for finishing an incredible 3rd place despite being on loaned instruments and despite the disruption of scrambling really on the afternoon of Monday. They had a 5 p.m. performance that had to be bumped to 9:15 p.m. We're grateful to UIL for accommodating that change, and to everybody who stepped up to help the Vandergrift team continue to put on an incredible 2 performances despite all of the challenges that they were facing. And then this just really highlights the spirit of band across the state of Texas. Vandergrift, after everything that you've been through these past 2 days, how is it that you are the ones giving us this amazing warm embrace? The warmth of the woodwind sounds made the entire dome melt in the soothing calmness. Thank you for letting the community be there for you and giving back to us 10 times. We want to give a special shout out to the bands who stepped up, to Flower Mound and other Louisville ISD bands and other bands who brought their trailers over to Vandergrift to allow them to borrow some of their instruments to make sure that they could perform. Cedar Park sent their trailer down on Tuesday with all of their instruments, I believe, to make sure that they had what they needed. And to our fine arts team, who I know were scrambling to make sure that the arrangements were made. They did a fantastic job of making sure that Vandergrift could get on the field and perform, and continue to do an outstanding job representing Leander ISD. So thank you to everybody involved. We were very fortunate to be able to be the inaugural customers for the Compass Cafe at the Denise Geiger Compass Center. We had a LEAF event there, recognizing some of our sponsors who support the district so well, our partners in the district. But we were served by the students of the Geiger Center from their Compass Cafe. And I'm pleased to report that they do have a working POS now. And so we are pleased to be able to they serve coffee there right now. There are spaces where people can go and hang out for a little bit, but they also will be doing artwork and all kinds of other sales as they get settled into their year as we go forward. And so this is just a picture of one of our students and their job coach, our staff members who are doing an incredible job of supporting, developing the life skills in these students through real life experiences. We're very grateful to the community who approved the May 2023 bond that made this incredible facility, this really national highlight facility, possible for our students to learn their independence. You heard from our North NASA students tonight, and this is another version of that same student empowerment that happens. This is the Superintendent's Student Advisory Council. I took this picture at our second meeting. I'm very pleased that they are choosing to come out in force. We have about 60 kids signed up, and over 50 of them are showing up regularly at our meetings. They're highly engaged in various groups working through PDSA cycles as they examine opportunities in the district and try to find solutions to improve the student experience. That is their main charge. Big shout out to Kimberly Waltman for helping me to, no, not helping me, that would be incorrect. She manages and runs our Superintendent Student Advisory Council and does a fantastic job. One of the hardest lessons that she's having to learn is to stay out of their way. It's very tempting to sometimes want to step in and guide them and help them when they really need to guide and help themselves. And so we're learning those lessons together. Had the great good fortune of bumping into 2 principal PLCs in the last couple of weeks, and I just want to share a little bit about the fact that they're also working on opportunities and using our continuous improvement tools to keep managing the difficult things that they do. These principal PLCs are by feeder pattern, and so they're vertical PLCs, so we have our elementary, middle, and high school principals together, along with their area superintendent. In this case, Paul Johnson is working with the Leander High School feeder pattern. And you can see Chris Simpson leading them through some of the continuous improvement tools that they were using in that particular session. I also managed to bump into the Cedar Park feeder pattern, and they were doing very similar work. When I was there, they had just returned from walking in classrooms and were having really robust conversation about what they saw. And so remember, this is elementary, middle, and high school principals walking high school classrooms and having conversations about that, which is really good, especially for our elementary and middle school principals. This is one of the tools that stood out to me that they were using, and this is where student voice becomes so important. And so this is students giving feedback to their teacher about their student-to-student discourse, academic discourse in the classroom. And this gives the teacher immediate feedback about how things are going and what they need to do differently. And then we're working also, this is their feeder pattern walkthrough form that they were using, but at the same time we have now a district common walkthrough form that Kristen Alex was using on that day to measure the learning that is going on in each and every one of our classrooms across the district. So we'll be bringing you more data based on that feedback as we go through the year. This is just for fun in this age of electric scooters and these new little electric motorbikes that we see everywhere. I saw this student at Vista Ridge High School one day walking in, and then I managed to see him probably illegally parked against the pole, but nevertheless. I would love to talk to him at some point in time to see did he build this himself or how to do it, but he managed to put an engine on his bicycle. So I thought that was pretty cool. Here's a great feel-good story about the reality of why it's different in Leander ISD. And so I got an email from a teacher at Larkspur Elementary School, Kim Michalik, and I want to read you just the first part of this email because it was so touching to me. She said, "First, let's start with a compliment. I am in my second year teaching at Larkspur Elementary as a SPED teacher in LID. And here's the fun part. I'm 64 years old and probably your oldest first-year teacher last year. After my father passed in 2017, I promised him I would finish what I started, which was my bachelor's degree in teaching. And then a friend talked me into grad school in special education, and so I did it. I graduated with my master's degree in special education in 2022. And that same year, I also ran the New York City Marathon. And that's a lot for this girl. But she invited me to bring a balloon because it was Mike Blackman's birthday. And so you can see how many balloons he got on his birthday. And then the entire front office staff had shirts made about Mike. And so I'll let you have a look at those when you get a chance on your own. But just this is the culture of our district and the support that each of our staff give to each other. And then we want to say a great big thank you to our principals across the district. I often say that our principals are one of the, if not the most important positions in the district because they are the ones who create the opportunity for our teachers to do their work and hence our students to do their learning. And so we just want to tell our principals thank you from the bottom of our heart for the work that they do. It is said that a principal gets interrupted about every 2.5 minutes. And so their work is challenging, but they do it with the full love in their hearts because they have a calling to serve our students and our community and our parents. And they do just a fantastic job across the district day in and day out. We also want to thank our school psychologists who guide our students and staff in navigating paths towards learning, growth, and well-being, ensuring that every individual has the tools that they need to thrive in our district. They conduct and interpret evaluations for special education eligibility. They provide recommendations to address academic and behavioral challenges, and they help ensure students are placed in the least restrictive environment that best meet their needs. And again, we cannot thank them enough for the work they do day in, day out across our district. And with that, Madam President, I'll take any questions that you have.
Board members, do you have any questions? No? Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Guerin. That was a great presentation. Board members are going to make a few adjustments to tonight's agenda. order, and we're going to start with discussion of the district-wide intruder detection audit report findings.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the boards, Dr. Gehring. Pursuant the requirements of the Texas Education Code 37.104 and guidance issued by the Texas Education Agency, this agenda item is to discuss the recent intruder detection audits conducted at one or more of our campuses. Audit findings are confidential in nature. Accordingly, specific audit findings will not be disclosed publicly, but will instead be reviewed in executive session and with the District Safety and Security Committee. Our district continues to be fully committed to maintaining a safe and secure environment for all of our students, staff, and community at large, and we will continue to prioritize and implement measures that protect the well-being of everyone in our campuses. Thank you.
Next, board members, we will go into closed session. It is 6:49 p.m. and the board will go into closed session for the purposes permitted by Texas Government Code 551071, consultation with attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation or attorney-client privilege matter. Texas Government Code 551074, personal deliberation regarding resignations, terminations, employment, reassignments, duties, and evaluation of personnel public officers. Texas Government Code 551.0821, deliberation regarding matters whereby personal identifiable information regarding one or more students will be disclosed. Texas Government Code 551.074, deliberation regarding superintendent contract. Texas Government Code 551.089, discussion of district-wide intruder detection audit report findings. Texas Government Code 551.074, deliberation and consideration in the employment of Danielson Middle School principal. No action will be taken in closed session. Any action related to closed session agenda items will be taken during open session. It is 8 p.m. and we have returned from break. Board members, do I have any motions related to closed session agenda items?
I move that the Board of Trustees accept the recommendation of Catherine Stewart for principal at Danielson Middle School, one-year probationary employment contract for personnel addition as presented in accordance with the salary scale, policies, and the contract of Leander Independent School District for the 2025-26 school year.
I second.
A motion from Trish, a second from Sade. Any discussion? All in favor? 5 ayes, motion passes. All right, board members, next we're going to head to 7A1, discussion of instructional materials review and approval process. Y'all are up.
All right. Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Gearing. I am Lauren Meeks, the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, and I am here with Dr. Amanda Hardwick, who is our Director of K-12 Humanities. And we are here tonight to present to you the instructional materials and review process. The purpose of the presentation this evening is twofold. So one, to provide an update to you, the board and our community, about the significant changes to the state process for selecting and adopting our primary resources for our curriculum. And two, to clearly communicate Leander ISD's next steps in identifying, selecting, and formally adopting instructional materials under this new framework. So before we talk about the new EMRA process, I want to quickly just ground us in what the process looked like historically. So traditionally, the process began with the State Board of Education issuing a proclamation, which initiated an 8-year cycle for new instructional materials. This cycle focused on specific content areas like math and reading, and also followed any updates to the Texas Essential Knowledge of Skills, or our TEKS. Next, the state had review panels, and those were made up of commissioner-appointed experts who would review publisher materials to determine the level of TEKS alignment. Also, those materials were required to cover 50 to 100% of the TEKS, and if they did meet up to that standard, they could be placed on the approval list. And publishers and districts could then go into 8-year contracts, which could be extended after those 8 years if needed. And then finally, at the local level, each district would establish its own process for adoption. It's important to note that in Leander ISD, our community and teacher input has always been a cornerstone of that approval process. And while we're not required to purchase from that state approved list, we have prioritized local review, collaboration with all stakeholders, and in-house curriculum writing to make sure that our resources are 100% aligned to the TEKS. Let me correct myself, that our curriculum is 100% aligned to the TEKS. So historically, this has been a fairly decentralized process, with the state setting parameters, but giving districts some leeway in retaining local control of the process.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Gearing. I'm excited to be here tonight to really give you an update to the EMRA process. I really do want to start with one of the key factors, and that is that we are moving from an 8-year cycle to an adoption that could be spurred every year. And it's actually got new materials every year up until 2030 as a part of that adoption process. Additionally, there is an emphasis on high-quality instructional materials that are 100% aligned to the standards with instruction on each of them. Through that process to establish that high-quality instructional material, there are 2 rubrics that are utilized, a quality rubric and a suitability rubric. The quality rubric is very content-specific, whereas the suitability one really leans into statutes and to educational philosophies. It's also really important to just focus in that a high quality instructional material does have the embedded supports for teachers as they consider the learners in their classroom, from intervention and support for emergent bilinguals all the way to extension and challenge for some of our students who are ready for that. Additionally, there is the extra funding that has come through the IMRA process, and that is through entitlements. Currently, for state board approved, there is a $40 per student entitlement fund, and then for state developed open educational resource, there is a $20 incentive for each student. For us, it's important to know that what we value with our local control is still there. We have the option to adopt any material that we feel aligns best with what we believe in learning in Leander ISD. So our next steps for us is to keep up with that approved list. It's currently under review, and we're hoping to get a new one by the end of November. And also, we want to ensure that we are aligned in what we believe about learning in some of the key areas that are up for adoption, and continue to uphold our values with engaging community and stakeholder feedback. We really want to lean into our existing communities programs, such as the Community Curriculum Advisory Committee and the District-Wide Education Improvement Council. So what the instructional materials review and approval process has done for us with some challenges, I want to use social studies as an example. So our K-12 social studies curriculum was last adopted with a new resource in 2015. So currently we are utilizing 10-year-old resources from that adoption. We've had updated TEKS since then. For the 2024 and 2025 school year, there was the addition of standards, and we are expecting another round of those for 2026 and 2027. So that means that we are doing a lot of in-house curriculum writing. We are having to supplement our 2015 resource and also extend access as we consider those contracts that have gone out, and the transfer from a textbook to a digital resource as well, because that is how most of our vendors are choosing to operate. Many of the original items that we purchased in 2015 are no longer available from those vendors. So also, the Career and Technical Education program was last had an adoption in 2017. They were actually slated to have one in 2024, but the new IMRA process actually pulled that back, and so they had to extend access as well and renew some contracts. So the way that the state will continue to do CTE is next year they will start with their first batch of materials, and it's going to focus in on engineering, agriculture, transportation, and health sciences.
All right, so this slide details the additional funding or the entitlements that the state now provides to support the adoption of the high quality instructional materials needed to address some of the challenges that Dr. Hardwick just explained. So the key financial change is the new dedicated funding structure. So the state provides $40 per student per year to spend on state-approved materials, okay? These funds do roll over if they're not utilized, allowing us to plan for larger adoptions over time. We also receive an additional $20 per student per year if we adopt a state-developed resource or open education resource, and in this case that would be in Texas, that's Bluebonnet. That money is primarily allocated to offset printing costs for those materials because it is 100% digital. It's important to note that there is a distinction. The $20 is a use it or lose it entitlement. So if you don't use it, it goes away, it does not roll over. While the $40 per student per year does accumulate over time if you do not use it on a state-approved resource. So these new allocations under House Bill 1605 establish the financial framework that will guide us as we are strategic in our investments to providing instructional resources moving forward. So now we are going to look at how those per student figures translate into the total operational funding available to Leander ISD right now. This table summarizes our IMTA and entitlement funds for instructional materials. You'll see that the various funding sources, which include IMTA and the new entitlements we just discussed, give LISD an initial overall allotment of approximately $13 million. It's important to understand the components of this total, though. So the IMTA of roughly $7.5 million is our largest source, as you can see. These funds are budgeted for the new biennium and do roll over if they're not spent. So you get these funds every 2 years, essentially. This $13 million total encompasses both IMTA funds and the new entitlements, including the ones that roll over and also the ones that we have to use or lose. We do have to subtract approximate reoccurring costs that are about $2 million, and those costs are typically used to cover renewal of licenses, any supplemental materials that we might need to purchase. And then once those costs are accounted for, we're left with a total of roughly $11 million that we can actually use to purchase and adopt new instructional materials. But just keep in mind that a lot of that money must be used to purchase state-approved resources. Okay, that's really important.
So as we consider this new process, I do want to lean into what that actually means. The SBOE will call for a review of instructional materials, and then they will take that through that review process with the 2 rubrics. Those 2 rubrics then lead us into reports about each and every instructional material that's submitted. After that, it's open for public comment, and then we hopefully will get a tentative list of those approvals in November or early December, and it'll be finalized for purchase in February. This approval and process that we're looking at also leads to a rejected materials list as well, because some of the materials do not actually make it onto the approval list. And one of the things that came out of the 89th legislative session was House Bill 100 that prohibits us from using any material on the rejected list. That's if we want to purchase for adoption or anything that we are currently have in use. If you notice the time frame, that is actually starting for us a little late when we think about November. Most of our proclamations in the past, we start in August, and we start to embed alignment and philosophies. And so pushing that all the way to November is something that we have to take into account. We do want to make informed decisions, though. So something we want to also replicate is the success of our science adoption. We know that science team did a lot of work about aligning our beliefs and philosophies about learning with science, and did a lot of work with understanding the standards and the shifts in that. We also want to understand what it means to implement a high-quality instructional material. So we've engaged in 2 different pilots in our elementary classes. We have one for kindergarten through 3rd grade phonics, and we have another that is supporting a couple of grade levels and math as well. When we think about a high-quality instructional material, it has a lot of support in it and a lot of material. And so we want to understand what it means for our students and our teachers to engage with those types of materials so we can inform our process and what that will entail for us. So the table that you're looking at really does summarize what's available to us. If you look on the left-hand side, Cycle 2024 is actually our approved materials. And on the right-hand side are Cycle 2025, which is the number that are in review. If you notice, Math K-12 Supplemental Resources is a Cycle 2025 new addition. So everything from Cycle 2024 carries over, and we added the Math Supplemental. Next year, we'll add a Reading Supplemental. So I think that a true story of what it means to have options is clearly painted in our English language arts and reading and our Spanish language arts and reading. Between the 2 years and the different cycles, for ELAR we have 5 options that we could look at for resources, and for Spanish language arts, we only have 3. It's important to know that Bluebonnet is represented in both of those numbers as well. So it really does speak to the numbers and what we have available as we consider it. In the past, we have had much more robust selection. So for us and our considerations as we continue forward, we know that implementing anything new is going to impact our teachers and our students, and we want to value that experience. We have to be strategic about what we choose to adopt and when we choose to roll it out, because if we were to adopt English language arts and reading, math, and a phonics program, that would impact our elementary classes who just actually are ending a 3-year cycle for a science adoptions that would roll them into another resource. So even though there are new materials being added every year to this process, we have to be mindful as we move forward about what that impact is on our students and our teachers. And we really want to lean into that success from science again. If you remember in the Gibson audit, we were commended for that work that happened and the rollout that's happened as well, because it's been very meaningful for them. And so we want to replicate that by starting to work on aligning what we believe about math and literacy learning in Leander ISD. And so we want to pull that through line for us between the learning model and the graduate profile that live at our system level, and take it all the way down to our curriculum one-pagers who really define the classroom experience. And so we've been engaging in instructional frameworks to kind of bridge that and talk about the beliefs for all stakeholders. So we have partnered with E3 Alliance, which we have multiple times in our special programs, math department. And so we wanted to bring in a consultant that could really help us define the learning that is needed for high quality instructional materials in that adoption process. We were able to pull together 2 different task force, a literacy and a math, and we wanted to ensure that we had the experience and expertise that is representative of our district. And so we pulled together district leaders from multiple different departments, including special programs and global languages and cultures. Additionally, we had campus leaders like principals, deans of instruction, assistant principals, and then instructional coaches, but the majority of our task force was made up of our teachers, and because they are the ones who will be implementing this and really have their eyes on what that learning would look like and the success of it. Additionally, our frameworks have had the opportunity to go through our Community Curriculum Advisement Committee and get feedback from them about what the belief statements really lean into and the key actions for the stakeholders, and how we could communicate that to our community so that everyone has a voice in it. If you look at our timeline, we really started this work in January. And so January through April was about shared learning and was about the planning of what this could look like as we develop it. When we think about the shared learning, we wanted to engage with the research-based instructional strategies, also known as the RBs, which our rubric for the quality rubric is actually based off of many of the tenets within that. And so we wanted to engage in that shared learning. May through our current time, we have been in the drafting and revising process, and I'm really excited to say that we are in those final little tweaks. We had a meeting this week and are really just trying to shore up what those key actions mean for us and our belief statements. In December, we want to take these frameworks and turn them into instructional material rubrics, because they really do represent what we believe about learning in these classrooms. Additionally, we want to come together to think about a communication and an implementation plan based on the feedback from the Gibson audit. We know that that is a crucial piece of any successful program in our district.
Okay, so to conclude, this slide outlines our next steps that we will take in the instructional materials review and approval process leading up to a potential next board meeting in the spring. Our immediate task is to anticipate the release of that 25 cycle list of state-approved resources from the state board, which we hope to see, like we said, in November. We are in November, hopefully by the end of November, if we're lucky. Once that list is released, we will be able to consider which of those resources, if any, best meet the Leander ISD the needs of our district and align with our established frameworks that Dr. Hardwick just talked about. So if there are any suitable resources, we would then establish a selection committee that would be composed of stakeholders from across the district, which is obviously an important step that we believe in Leander ISD, to have that stakeholder feedback and that stakeholder participation in identifying resources that we would want to use moving forward. And then obviously too, part of that committee would be teachers. We know that they're boots on the ground, and we want them to be able to have a large voice in providing feedback on the resources that we could potentially adopt. And then finally, we would engage our formal advisory committees, CACAC and DWIC, for their feedback. So as you can see, all of these steps really do emphasize the nature of collaboration and alignment, and just ensuring that we have we want to make sure that we have a good process in place, because this is a very big financial investment for our district. We want to make sure that we get it right, to make sure that we have the best possible resources for our students. So that is the end of our presentation. We are happy to now answer any questions if you have any.
Board members, do you have any questions?
Just have a request for when y'all do the next presentation. Sometimes it's a hot minute since I remembered what the last adoption cycle was, what we ended up doing. And I think with the SBOE kind of introducing their new, maybe I would say rapid fire way of adoption that might happen, it would be helpful to have an idea on what were the things we have adopted, kind of be able to see our cycles and what things are coming up for us, just to keep our eye on things, because we're going to be getting news and we'll be getting updates as well. And it'll be like, oh, SBOE's just adopted the social studies. It's like, wait, did we do that one already yet? Or didn't we just do that last year? I think it just might help us get a better idea of the cadence if we understand what we already have slated, what we already have done, and what we have on the immediate horizon. I remember one time when we were actually getting ready to adopt some material, and we're like, ooh, do we need to do this right now? And they were like, oh, well, we're getting ready to be out of compliance. Like, we absolutely have to.
Right.
So I think that timeline, kind of seeing the big picture when it comes back, can help us as these things keep rolling out.
Sure, we can do that. And I was also going to say, if you would like us to include that in a Friday memo, we can also do that as well.
That's what I was going to ask. Can they include that in a Friday memo for us? That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to be following up when y'all come at our next meeting in spring.
Sure.
I had a question on slide 8. I'm just curious, you don't need to give me names, but I'm just wondering, how do you pick the campuses that are piloting one of the two considerations of the curriculum we're using? Is it just like a free-for-all? Like, what is it? I'm just trying to understand.
So we wanted to make sure that we included different campuses and demographics across our district. And so we have campuses from the south side. We have Title I campuses. We have dual language campuses. And so we wanted just to see what this would look like on all of our types of campuses and try to keep it at that pilot level as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Board member, any other questions? No other questions. Thank y'all so much, and we'll see you in the spring. Next, board members, we're going to move to 7B1, consider approval of the Leander ISD. Nope, just kidding. 7A2, discussion of the 2026-2027 academic calendar planning. Sorry, Angela, it's just the academic calendar. No big deal. Just kidding. Whenever you're ready.
All right, good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Gearing, here to talk to you about the draft academic 26-27 calendar this evening. So the purpose of this evening is to talk to you about the outline of the 26-27 academic calendar development process, and then also gather some feedback from you all this evening about the draft that we do have in place. All right, so this is the process that we are in at this time. And so that first step just talks about the initial planning that we have in place. And that really starts with the tentative approval that we get from you all from last year for that second year calendar, the 26-27 calendar. We do take a look at that and make sure if there's any tweaks or adjustments we need to make, that we make those ahead of time. Then we develop that draft and then go out into the community. This year, I've approached it just a little bit differently with my listening tours, and it has been proving really successful, actually. And I think a lot of this has to do with just the massive change that we made with the October dates and the February dates last year. But started engaging a little bit earlier this year in listening sessions, and I'm going to give you some data on the actual response I've gotten up until today, which I wasn't expecting, but it's been amazing. So I've actually actively at this point been on several listening tours, and we'll continue those. Throughout those tours, I'm listening for trends. I'm listening for what we need to be considering, because we're getting that voice louder for certain things, and then we'll start making some adjustments. What I like about what I've done with the tours is that as of tonight, I'm able to actually tell you a little bit of what I'm starting to hear trending, so that I can get your feedback on those things as well. And then from that, we will make some adjustments based on the feedback we're hearing, and then by February, I'll be bringing you the draft calendar for approval. All right. So we always start with this slide. This is the statutory guidelines. So this is kind of what we need to be considering when we're developing that academic calendar. Teachers are required to work a minimum of 187 contract days. I do clarify this in my listening session so teachers understand that if we're to give an extra day, we can't just say, hey, we give everybody a day off. We do need to make sure that our calendar does comprise a total of 187 teacher contract days. That second bullet talks about the minimum number of minutes for our calendars, 75,600. That third bullet then talks about bad weather minutes. So we do make sure that, and I'm going to show you a slide in a few about how we do the math. We make sure that those minutes are exceeding the 75,600 at least for 2 days worth, so that in the event that we have any school closures for bad weather or any other reason, that we're able to end the year with the 75,600. And then the last two bullets just talk about when we can start school. This gives us a little flexibility to not have to start that fourth week in August, and then no school on Memorial Day. And just a fun preview, we will end before Memorial Day on this draft calendar. So, yeah, it's a big deal. Okay, not loving the coloring on that. I wish that was darker. Okay, we'll walk through it, no big deal. It's okay. So this slide just kind of shows you the key, the color coding. I'm hoping that on your documents you could see it a little bit better. And I wasn't realizing how light that was until this moment. But the key talks about how the calendar is color coded. So we have new teacher training, professional development is yellow, like a pale yellow, and then staff student holiday is meant to be green. That's the one I see the least, and on my view. And then we'll talk about early release and then first day of school. I'll just make sure that I'm explicitly naming these things out loud in case the viewers can't see it as well. All right. Okay, so first day of school, very standard. Wednesday start day, like typical, right around the time we typically start. And then the last day of school is before Memorial Day. So this one was actually easy to do in this calendar, and that was because Memorial Day is a little bit later than usual on the 31st. So we talked a lot last year, if you guys remember, about adding minutes and how do we get this to where it would land. I actually played with several different versions of the calendar to add the minutes, and when I did that, it actually made it a little bit more difficult. So this calendar still has the same number of minutes just because of how holidays landed. It ended up working out really nicely for this year. All right, so this is going to cover, this whole slide's only going to cover what I'm calling the green days, which I really wish I could see the color better. It's okay. But this is all staff and students off. So we're just going to kind of go through these month by month so that you can give me feedback on each of those. I'm open to either way if you want to wait till the end or open up conversation throughout. These staff student holidays, is Labor Day, the typical day off we have in September 7th, I believe. October does have the 2 days off, so I'll go through this and I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I know exactly what, yep, and I'm gonna probably lean that way. Actually, I'll just go there right now. So let's talk about October and February. So those are the 2 days that we have off, both Thursday and Friday, with the Monday Professional Development Day. So on this calendar, just to kind of name it out loud, that's gonna be October 8th and 9th. With the professional development on the 12th. That's probably what you're looking at. Okay, and then in February, you've got off staff student holiday the 11th and 12th with the professional development day on Monday the 15th. The trends that I'm hearing in the feedback are that we consider keeping those 2 days off, but flipping them so that we have a professional development on the Friday. So let's look at October for a second. Thinking about putting October Parent-Teacher Conference Day, moving it from the 12th to the 9th as a professional learning day, and then having those 2 days off, Monday, Tuesday, the 12th and the 13th. So that's something that I'm starting to hear in trends. What that does is it still meets the need that we're hearing of the broken up days. It also addresses some teachers talking about parent-teacher conferences and having that long weekend and anticipating having to come back and do those. So there was a little bit of working that was happening on those days off. And then football games, band, cheer, dance, fundraising, all of the things that were impacted by having football games on days that we had scheduled off, right? So that was a bit of an unintended consequence, especially with Vista Ridge and their homecoming that weekend. So we've already thought through that. I've kind of talked with Becky about the practicality of that, and that's something that early conversations, athletic office is very excited about that idea. So that's what we're starting to hear. So we didn't shift it today just because it's still early. I'm still getting a lot of preliminary feedback, and I really do want to make sure that I'm honoring the feedback we're getting. But that just wanted to kind of float that out loud to you guys to see if you have feedback on that. What else on this? Let's see, green days. November stays full week off as usual. December, 2 weeks off as usual. Feedback's already coming back that they love that. And then you've got those couple days off in January as normal. Now, UT and ACC do have their preliminary calendars out, and we are aligned, and so that's going to look like March 15th to 19th. So just a reminder that ACC, we need to make sure that we are aligned with the number of dual credit courses that we offer our students. So that's critically important. And then March 26th, yes, there is also a staff student holiday off. So that looks a little wacky. And that's because typically that holiday that we have is usually in April, and it's actually in March this particular year. And so because of that, I see you have a question. Do you want me to finish my thought, or?
Oh, don't we usually have the Monday? Oh,
Yes,
the
that's
Monday
exactly where I was
after.
going.
Okay.
For professional learning?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to move to the next slide because, well, I'm going to pop back to that one in a second. Because of that week off, we do typically have the 22nd that we would have for professional development day. What we like to do is give teachers the ability to plan, prepare, ease back into the week when they come back from spring break. What that does, because of the Friday off, is it makes families come back for 3 days. So they have the week off, then their students are off on the 22nd, and then there's this like 3-day week. And so we decided that it made more sense to move the 22nd professional learning day down to the 29th, and then that would give families a longer 4-day weekend the following week versus a 3-day week of school. I can tell you're thinking. I'll keep going, but you feel free. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was wondering why March 26th.
March 26th.
Yeah, that was, I mean, that's the, why?
That's Good Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. So typically our Good Friday lands in April.
I just looked it up. It says April 3rd.
And our calendars typically align with Good Friday based on feedback, so we just moved it in and honored that day off as we've done in the past. It just lands in a really weird spot this year. I'll keep going, but feel free to ask questions as that pops up. Good. Okay, so this slide that I popped over to is your professional learning days. We have right now, very standard, the 7 days leading up to the first day of school that we've got laid out. We do have one September 28th. We do have a little bit of some preliminary feedback coming in about September 28th and considering to move it up just a week or two. That's something that if you have thoughts or opinions on that, I'd love to hear about. That just helps with like, the first 7 days are tough, right? You've got 2 protected days for teachers to set up classrooms, but there's still PLC time, there's mandatory training, there's all of these other things that have to get done in that small time, and we really are trying to prevent that water hose effect for teachers. And so there have been some preliminary comments about moving the 28th up just a touch so that if there's things remaining, we still have the ability to catch them while the school year is kind of early. So that's something that's kind of out there. October is moved back up. I do want to point this out. Last year, we shifted October down, the parent-teacher conference. We did move it back up. It's in line with Indigenous Peoples Day. National banks are closed, schools or other schools are closed, those types of things. So we decided to go ahead and move that back up and align it with that. We do have the 2 days off to align with the election day, November 2nd and 3rd, still is maintained. And anything else special? We talked about March. Oh, yeah, one more is April. So we have right now April 12th protected for Professional Learning Day. That's really a tough stretch of time. So it's a long time where we don't have a lot of days off or professional learning that's in place. But what we're trying to address here is we did put that in April, mainly because, like, again, Good Friday is typically in April and it's not anymore, so then there's nothing. But we do have a testing window there, so we have to be very careful about placement of that professional learning day where we have that off so that we're not causing a detriment to a testing opportunity for a student. And that's between STAR, Universal Screeners, and AP testing.
I like your, as you said, you were getting feedback for September, the moving it the 28th to the 21st, just because it is, like, you think how crazy that first, month is. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you start feeling that burnout right around the 14th, 18th, where you're just like, oh my gosh, I just need a second to breathe.
Yep.
And the reason why I say that, because when you look in October, then we've got those days that we're going to, be able to take off. So I feel like if it were me, I'd like to see either the 14th or the 21st, just to give staff just that extra cushion of that back to school frenzy. I mean, I'd love to get more, but that's what we're working with.
Thank you for that. Also having a similar conversation with April right now about moving it down a little bit, because the 12th is still in the window of testing, so moving it down at least breaks up the April-May window, and that 12th is really close to those days off in March. So we're considering bumping that down maybe 2 weeks or so.
I think anything, because we all know what that April-May frenzy is. We're just dragging along.
Absolutely. I'm going to pop back over just for one real quick so I can point this out. We are keeping the same structure for early release days, last day in December before winter break, and then that last day of school. I just want to make sure I pointed that out as well.
I just have a question.
Go for
Back
it.
at Good Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, because I
There we
did look at just another, I haven't looked at a number of them, but I just happened to see one very easily. And they don't have that day off. I think usually in the past it's come around spring break. Is that right?
It's in the past. It's been in April.
Oh, in April. Okay, so we've just had that day separately on its
Exactly.
own in April, and so but
That's
now
what
we
makes
have
it a
that
little
April
strange.
12th day.
Mhm.
So I was just wondering how it. I was just thinking about it, just how it's placed. It's just odd.
It is. It is. And this is one of those days off that it's not a mandatory federal holiday, and so we could have that conversation. What I'm trying to do is make sure we're leaning into feedback, and in the past we haven't. We've always had Good Friday off, right? So I was leaning into some of that, and we haven't asked about what would it look like if that was different. So that could certainly be a conversation we start to explore if we feel that that's important. That's just one of those ones that we've kind of always offered, and it's never been a problem until it hopped itself into March this year. So I can certainly look into that for sure. Okay, real quick, going to just talk to you very quickly. This is more, more specifically for the public, because this was a question that I got last year, is how did you arrive at the minutes? So I thought it'd be great to just be transparent and put it all out there and show the calculations. I know you all know, so I won't go in detail on this. But the biggest thing that I want to point out is we often forget when we're calculating that we do have those 2 half days, and we do need to calculate accordingly. We don't calculate for the whole amount of time. So our calendar does have 172 days in it right now for the amount of minutes we have. Just to reiterate something I said a few slides back, elementary and middle school do have 435 minutes per day. With high school at 440. We were going to level that out this year, but found that was actually more problematic for our calendar this year than less. And so I am going to actually, before February, play with the 27-28 calendar to see if that might be necessary. If we feel like it is, in order to keep the breaks if people are still wanting them, and then keep everything ending before Memorial Day, then we'll have that conversation with you all at that time so that you're aware of that in far in advance. So 170 full days, and then you add in those 2 half days, and then the 2,100 minutes. We do come to the board around summer, June or July, to talk about that professional development waiver, and that just allows us to provide quality professional learning for teachers throughout the year on best practices. That's where the 2,100 minute waiver comes in. So that's how we calculate our totals. And as a reminder to everybody, we want that red number, or the number in yellow, to be over and above the 75,600, because the idea is that we want to end with that minimum requirement of 75,600. Okay, so I will open it up for any more discussion that you might have or feedback.
When do you come back to us?
I'm sorry?
When do you come back for approval?
February.
Okay.
Yes.
Just some feedback. I know that Good Friday looks weird in March. We're just not used to seeing it that early.
Yeah.
But a lot of families travel for Easter holidays, and in order to be with their family on Easter Sunday, I think it's important to give that day off so that they have that time to travel wherever they're going. A lot of the universities also give that day off for travel, and so I just think it's important to have that alignment. It does look jarring, though, in March. I'm not used to seeing that in March either, but I think, but I'm welcome to get the feedback. I just think that would be hard for a lot of our families. I also think we'd see a lot of absences.
Absolutely.
So you did say for that October, possibly moving it, because the big thing I heard was I saw how to get my kid up and go to, I did. I saw how to get up and go to band practice and dance practice.
Same.
Like nothing changed. And I know it created some inconveniences for athletics. We are talking with Becky on how to fix that. So
yes.
Okay, that's my main, I was coming ready
That
for
was your
that
big-
conversation.
Yep.
Because it felt like it was a great break. I want it, but I really would love everyone to experience that
Maximize
restfulness. That's what was the intention behind it.
Absolutely. I had a conversation with her last week just about the various options, and we were already saying the same thing before we got to that bottom line of let's make the switch. With the beauty of this year, I kind of said this at the beginning, like last year when I came to you guys in February, we were looking at just under 2,000 responses on the survey. And as of right now, I checked it again this morning, we have 3,498 responses on our survey. And that comes down to, I think, driving the need of this big change and people wanting to express their feelings, but also the approach, the differences in the way we did our listening sessions this year, how early we started them. So the beauty of doing that is I'm able to then go in and instead of, I don't know if you guys remember last year, we like kind of offshooted it and did an additional survey. I've got over 500 comments, and my intention is to look at every single one of them and see what it is they're saying. So if I'm hearing a lot of, we couldn't enjoy it because we were at the football game, well, we've got a perfect opportunity to address that, but still meet the need of the amount of people that are saying they still want those days off. So I do have that preliminary feedback too of the fall breaks, the October break. For sure, majority are still saying that they thought it was a very valuable time. It's more split than obviously Thanksgiving winter break, where you've got like 80-90% saying, please keep Thanksgiving and winter break the way it is. Of course, I said that too. But days off in October and February, we're looking at 50% or higher that found it as very valuable, and about 25 to 30% saying somewhat valuable. So really only about 20% or so are saying that it wasn't a valuable thing for them.
Board members, any other questions? Angela, thank you so much. You've worked really hard on this, and I'm just glad the community's giving feedback, and it's meaningful feedback, and we're seeing the positive result of it. Like, I think I saw so much staff just say, thank you for, letting me have these 2 days. But then just like what you said, oh man, we have, we got to prepare for all this. So I'm just, thank you for being intentional about this and listening to their voices.
Thank you.
All right, board members, now we will go to 7B1, consider approval of the Leander ISD nomination for TASB Board of Directors, Region 13, Position 3. B. God, what is wrong with me tonight? Board members, this was just a recommendation for TASB. There was a vacancy, and so there's not really a formal process. I did have someone reach out to me to nominate them. Did anyone else have anyone
Yeah, I've heard from several names from trustees who would like to be engaged. It is a position to fill an unexpired term, so the process just looks a little different. Based on the fact that there were some names that I thought were really good and engaged trustees, I just thought it might be better to sit this out until they go to the full-on process so we can actually fully vet them, hear their recommendations, and then go from there.
Okay, so no recommendation. I think going forward in the future, let's make sure we include everyone, because I was under the assumption that people would tell us. So when we had our board agenda meeting, we were going to do this. So I wasn't aware that people reached out to you. And so people were reaching out to me, and I was like, as president, I'm assuming that's what we're going to do. So in the future, let's make sure we keep everyone on the same loop, because that way. All right, awesome. All right, next we're going to go to 7C2, Purchasing Cooperative Fees Annual Report. Pete, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Gearing. Tonight we have a couple, one item here, a review item. Just to be in compliance with Texas Education Code 44.0331, requires school districts that enter into purchasing contract valued at $25,000 or more under an interlocal agreement or any other purchasing agreement. The district present to the Board of Trustees the annual membership dues. So we have three purchasing. We belong to many purchasing co-ops. The three on here are the only ones that have some administrative fees. So the Central Texas Purchasing Alliance has an annual membership fee of $150, and the Texas Smart Buy has an annual membership fee of $110. The Buy Board, which is a purchasing co-op under the Texas Association of School Boards, it does not have an annual membership. However, there is an $800 vehicle purchase fee when you buy vehicles. And so just in order of trying to be as transparent as possible, it's $800 per PO. So obviously if we order many vehicles, we order them on one PO to only have to pay $800 fee one time. And so those are the only of the co-ops we belong to. These are the only three that have any kind of annual and or fees associated with them.
Board members, any questions? All right, Pete, just go ahead and flow through 7C3 and 7C4.
All right, 7C3 is our cash flow report for the first quarter for fiscal year 26. This is just our cash flow for the first 3 months of the fiscal year 26 for July, August, and September. Hope you have your readers. It's a nice big print. However, I just wanted to point out, we've had many conversations here recently on fund balance, purpose of fund balance, and so this is one of those reasons. This is cash flow. If you look at July, August, and September, the first 3 months of the fiscal year, our change in cash was, expenditures exceeded revenues by almost $4.5 million, over $4.5 million in July, almost or a little over just under $7.7 million in August. September is actually our first state payment, and usually it's the payment from the prior year. So we actually had $35 million more in fund balance. More in revenue than that monthly expenditures. And just remember, the $4.6 million for July and the $7.7 million for August is a deficit, and that is actually moving July and August payroll out to the prior fiscal year. So we usually have some pretty expenditures exceed our revenues for July, August. September and October, we get the first two state payments. Don't get anything in November, so that's, again, another negative month. And then we get our vast majority of our tax collections in December and January, so we get a lot of revenue then, and then we got to spread that out through the rest of the year. So there's some graphs included in the back on the cash flow for the general fund, as well as the cash flow for the debt services as well, and that is on the bottom half of the cash flow. And it just shows again that we have to have our fund balance is probably even more important on the debt service side, because we end our year June 30th. we have a significant August payment. So we have to have a fund balance that covers that big payment. Then we get the bulk of our revenue, again, in December, January. So it's just an opportunity for board members to be just aware of the cash flow needs of the district and how we manage those with what we invest and what we have ready to make sure that we have the funds available to meet our cash flow needs for the district. Next item is our monthly bond status report. Nothing out of the ordinary. Just recall that we have the 2017, 2021, 2023 bond. The 2023 one is now 5 pages as we get more and more projects going. And so, as always, if there's any questions on those, but I didn't have anything particular to mention on this report, but we weren't happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Board members, any questions? There are no questions. Thank you so much.
Well, not on the bond report. I
Wait.
do have a question on the financial report.
Yeah.
So I do, because Pete had given you a heads up. I just wanted to make sure I'm still staying on tracking some of these conversations. So what I'm looking at is the monthly financial report. When I look at the prior year, 2024, and I look at the current year, what I'm noticing, and this is a trend we've talked about, is that I'm looking at the local and intermediate sources, and that amount of revenue is going down there. And the amount of revenue in federal programs seems to be going down a bit. But then when I go look at all of our expenditures, summary by functions, and you go through all the functions, as I was comparing what we did last year, almost every single one of those functions is a higher number than what it was last year. Just making sure I'm tracking with this. We're on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, they're fairly close, but there are, particularly function 11 is about $2 million less. That's 35 million as opposed to 37, the actual. I believe they're accurate. I would assume that most of this differences is just depending on what positions we accrue from the prior year from those July and August. Payments, we did do some reductions, if you recall, in the spring of 25 through the majority, as was mentioned prior, more at the secondary level. So that did reduce. We reduced 16 million total from that. So that will show a big chunk of that would be in function 11, which is 2 million for the. Basically, the majority of that is just really one payment, September, because most of the teacher payments for July and August were moved out. We do have some new teachers that are hired that we do give them the 13-month option, so some of them will have had 1/13 of their check in August. But with the reduction in staff, that should explain the majority of why that 35 million in function 11 was about 2 million less than the prior year.
No, that does help. And I want to continue to watch this,
Yes, ma'am.
because the revenue amounts, they're not as strong as we need to keep up with the expenditures. And so this is part of that discussion. We've talked about it. We adopted it in our resolution that we want to talk about revenue. And so how we're growing enrollment, how we're growing students and getting them in here to change and address something when you're watching these numbers is going to be important. I'm looking forward to those conversations. But thank you, Pete, for that update on this.
You're welcome. Then following that report is there's the child nutrition and debt service reports as well. And again, I don't have any specific areas to point out unless there were any questions on that report. And then the last one, second to penultimate one here is the monthly investment report. Just real high level, we got about $1.8 million in interest earnings, with about 500,000 of that in the general fund, about just under 1.1 million between the 3 bond capital project funds, and then we did about 151,000 in the debt service fund, or interest for the month of, I believe it was July. Sorry, September. I don't know why I said July. And then the last report is our monthly tax collection report, just real high level. We 99.28% of the tax year 2024, which is basically right in line with what we finished the year prior at 99.27%. So more than happy to, if there are any questions on any of these reports, I'm more than happy to answer those for you.
Board members, any questions? No questions. Well, y'all know where to find Pete if you have any other questions. Thank you so much, Pete.
Right, thank you.
All right, board members, it is 8:54 p.m. and having no further business, this meeting of the Leander ISD Board of Trustees is adjourned.